Chronicles of the Grim Reaper, Beneath the Pew, by Griz, Calderon. Peter was the youngest of three, all brown-eyed like their father, but the only one with hair the color of wheat in summer. At 7 years old, he was small for his age, but quick on his feet, and always under the watch of his older brother and sister. His brother, 2 years older, took the lead on their walks to school, while his sister kept a protective hand on his shoulder whenever the shadows grew long. Their home stood near the edge of the village, where the dirt path narrowed and the trees leaned in too close. The air there smelled of pine and smoke from the hearth, and at night no one left their houses. Doors were bolted before sunset, curtains drawn tight. It was not a superstition, it was survival. The stories told by parents were not meant to scare children into obedience. They were warnings born from truth. For months, people had vanished. A farmhand walking home from the fields, a girl carrying bread to her grandmother, a merchant's son who strayed too far on his way back from market. Some bodies were found, pale and emptied, others never seen again. The whispers in the tavern were the same as those in the church pews. There was something in the night. Not an animal, not a man. Something else. His mother worked as a seamstress for the town, often sewing late into the afternoon but never after dark. His father repaired wagons and tools, and when the work kept him past midday, he returned with a nervous pace, eyes flicking toward every rustle in the hedgerows. The curfew was unbroken. No one left home before sunrise or after sunset. But rules could not keep every danger away. One night, their dog began to growl at the door. His fur stood on end. Without warning, he bolted through the open kitchen window, paws hitting the ground before anyone could stop him. He disappeared into the narrow field beyond the house. Peter ran after him, calling his name, but the barking stopped too quickly, cut off in a way that left the air heavier than before. And then he saw him. A figure in black stood at the tree line. Tall, unmoving, the curve of a scythe glinting faintly in the moonlight. The air felt still. Behind him, something darker shifted between the trees, and Peter thought he saw the dog lying in the grass, body slack, eyes dim. The black-cloaked figure knelt, touching something unseen. A presence passed through the air, as though something had been lifted away. When the figure rose again, Peter blinked, and he was gone. The dog never returned. After that night, his brother and sister never let him walk behind them. They kept him in the middle, their arms like guardrails. On the way to and from school, they hurried. They knew the creature liked the fading light. The day it happened, clouds rolled over the village long before midday. Thick and heavy, they swallowed the sun until the streets looked like dusk. Merchants began shuttering their stalls. The school dismissed early, urging families to get home before the darkness deepened. The family had been in the marketplace together, his mother selling mended clothes, his father bartering for iron nails. The clouds came faster than anyone expected. A wind picked up, strange and cold, pushing through the narrow streets. People began to run. The chapel bell rang, not for prayer, but for shelter. They followed the crowd inside, the heavy doors shutting behind them. Candles were lit against the dimness, the air thick with incense and the press of too many bodies in too small a space. Peter sat between his siblings in a pew near the middle. The voices around them hushed to whispers. The priest's voice rose, trying to calm them. Then the doors swung open. What stepped inside was neither hurried nor hesitant. A figure moved with an unnatural grace, its pale face unreadable, its eyes fixed on the crowd. The air seemed to drain from the room. A scream started, and was cut short. People surged toward the back, but there was nowhere to go. It began. Too fast to follow, too quiet for the chaos it brought. One by one, voices fell silent. Peter clung to his sister's arm until it was torn from his grasp. His brother's shout ended in a sound he would never forget. He crawled beneath the pew, pressing his face into the wood, the scent of polish and incense filling his lungs. And then, silence. His heart pounded. He could see only boots moving past the pews, slowing as they reached him. He looked up into a face he could not understand. Not human. Not entirely. The creature crouched, studying him, eyes locking onto his. It reached forward, and his breath caught. But the touch never came. The figure's head tilted, as if listening to something he couldn't hear. Then it rose and turned away, stepping over the bodies as it left through the still open doors. He lay frozen. The black-cloaked figure appeared again. The Reaper moved between the pews, his tall frame draped in darkness, the blade of his scythe catching the faint candlelight. One by one, he reached for the unseen, lifting the fading essence from each still body. There was no sound, but the soft scrape of his steps on the stone floor. He did not look at Peter until he passed the pew. Their eyes met. No words, no comfort, only the truth of what he had just seen, and the knowledge that the Reaper would carry everyone he loved away and leave him behind. The end.